For more than 27 years, the ACLJ has been fighting for freedom and liberty in the United States and around the globe. Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow has argued 12 times before the United States Supreme Court, including several landmark cases protecting religious and constitutional freedoms. The ACLJ is active in the courts, in Congress, and in the public arena.
And joining me now is a member of President Trump's legal team, Jay Sekulow, also the Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice.
The Jay Sekulow live radio program reaches over 1,000 stations nationwide and streams live on Facebook to more than 4 million users daily. With a weekly TV program and an active social media presence, the ACLJ has created a powerful media strategy to continue the fight for freedom and liberty.
Nearly 300,000 people in 2 weeks. If we can do that in a couple of weeks, imagine what we can do in 6 months. Imagine what we can do in a year. Imagine what we can do if we stand together.
You can play a vital role in supporting the work of the ACLJ. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the American Center for Law and Justice right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255. Or you can participate online at aclj.org.
Your support makes a critical difference. So thank you for joining with us. Thank you for standing with us as we seek to proclaim freedom and liberty here in the United States and around the globe.
Live from Washington, D.C., Jay Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. And now, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow.
Planned Parenthood is now, according to the sources at the Justice Department, under investigation for the sale of fetal body parts. The Justice Department has launched a federal investigation into Planned Parenthood practices and the sale of fetal body parts, which is illegal under both state and federal law pretty much around the country. In a letter that was first obtained from Fox News, Justice Department Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs Stephen Boyd formally requested unredacted, and I say this for a reason, documents from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Let me tell you why the unredacted is significant. I am holding in my hand our petition for writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court of the United States on this very case, involving the Center for Medical Progress, their board member Troy Newman, against the National Abortion Federation, because, and in our cert petition, let's put it up on the screen for our TV, Facebook, and Periscope audience. It says redacted public version, because the court order would not allow unredacted versions of this to go even to law enforcement. So what you have now is and this is what's so interesting about the Department of Justice investigation here, is they're saying they want the unredacted documents, but in court, we had to file the redacted documents. So that's what we filed in court. We filed actually 2 versions of it, but this is the one that's the public version. So we can't show you the unredacted, but the Justice Department's asking for it, but it's that court order that prohibited it, and that was part of the problem here. Yes, so that was the major part of the problem.
But, I mean, I just want to make this clear to everybody. The FBI is confirming 100% they are investigating Planned Parenthood. I mean, this is big news, folks, to understand. When the FBI is investigating Planned Parenthood, they're investigating them not for civil issues, for criminal conduct, criminal activity in relation to the sale of what they call fetal body parts, the body parts of aborted babies. They are being criminally investigated for it, and the FBI is asking Congress to get more information on what Planned Parenthood was doing. This is a huge move by the Trump Department of Justice, which oversees the FBI, to take it to fight to Planned Parenthood. Remember, we could fight in court like we are on the civil side of this.
And there again, by the way, for those that are watching us on TV, on Facebook and Periscope, it says right there, redacted version. The Justice Department is asking from the Senate for the unredacted version. That means they want the full pictures, documents, everything.
So even in the brief, you've had to file a redacted and a
Yes.
private and a brief that the justices can actually see.
Only the justices see the unredacted. What we have
But
is
the
the
FBI
public.
cannot now get the unredacted.
Correct.
Law enforcement.
We could not give the FBI that documentation.
We could not give the FBI documentation that is obtained by our clients. So this is a situation, though, but the seriousness of this, to get down to it, all of you have asked why people don't get in trouble on these issues. This is the beginning. This is when people start to get in trouble. It's when when an FBI investigations begin. I mean, Dad, this is seriously bad news for Planned Parenthood.
It really is, and we're going to get into this. Than, give us a really quick 10-second reaction to Washington. This just broke last night.
The only thing I would say is this is why we work both sides of this issue, the congressional side and the investigative side, because, Jay, sometimes you need both pieces to prove the case in the end.
We've got a lot more ahead on this entire issue involving Planned Parenthood. Your support for the work of the ACLJ keeps us in court, literally here at the Supreme Court of the United States. ACLJ.org. Any amount you donate, we're in the last weeks of our matching challenge campaign for the year. So again, ACLJ.org. If you donate $10, we get 20, 20s, 40, 40s, 80. You can also call in your pledge at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
If you're just joining us, the news is the Department of Justice has opened up an investigation of Planned Parenthood over the sale of body parts. Now, as I said, we are actually involved in this case at the highest level. I mean, to the Supreme Court of the United States. But we had to file our petition that was for public view that was redacted, meaning we couldn't put in the information about what the Center for Medical Progress, their board members, found. The Department of Justice has asked the Senate for the unredacted versions of this so they could start their investigation. 20 states' attorneys general have filed briefs in our behalf saying, hey, we need this for our own investigative into the situation with Planned Parenthood. So there you have it. All right, we're going to take your calls and comments. But, Logan, there was a really good comment that came in on Facebook. Then we'll grab a call.
Brad said on Facebook, do you actually think Planned Parenthood will face charges?
My view of it right now is yes. I mean, I don't know if there will be, when I say charges, they are facing a serious investigation. Does that mean it will result in charges? If there's criminality, there will be. Their staff was very cavalier in the way they described these activities of theirs, to the point of disgusting. Is the truth. I mean, it's not stuff I want to repeat on radio right now. So I think all of that has come back as a problem. Planned Parenthood has denied it, but Planned Parenthood has had serious and ongoing problems. I mean, on this and many other issues.
Yes, they've had the congressional investigations. They've had the civil battles that they've tried to fight to stop people from seeing these videos. Remember, they have tried to stop and shut that down. But now they've got the real trouble. They've got an FBI, so not a local law enforcement, but a federal law enforcement division, FBI, criminally investigating Planned Parenthood for the potential illegal, criminal, because it violates statute, sale of baby body parts.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the kind of investigation. I mean, we're moving down the road of whatever charges are filed that could seriously damage an organization like Planned Parenthood because it's a criminal. It's not like they could say some bureaucratic part of the government's coming after us or, the IRS is auditing us. No. This is crimes crimes that you may have committed, and it's warranting a point. And Congress has been asking for it.
Yep.
And Congress doesn't just willy-nilly ask the FBI to investigate crimes, even of groups it doesn't like. That would not be right. You only do that when you believe that there's criminal activity afoot.
So, Than, let's go to Washington on this, because obviously the Justice Department has asked for the Senate to hand over its documents. What do we think's at play there with Senator Grassley? What will he do? And then the question is going to be, is groups like NARAL, the National Abortion Federation, Planned Parenthood going to come in and try to stop that transfer of documents by getting a court order, which was obtained in the case involving the Center for Medical Progress? Like I said, I'm holding the cert petition, which we had to do for public record, redacted. We on the one that went with the court, we were able to do unredacted, but on the one here, we did redacted. But go ahead, Than, your reaction.
Well, first of all, the congressional panel recommended that this very investigation take place, but the Senate Judiciary Committee reached out to the FBI and said, look, some of this information that you're looking for, we have in an unredacted form because we got it before this court order. And by the way, Jay, everything I'm hearing is that some of that information are those price lists that we saw detailing the price for each various baby body part, not redacted. Now, interesting, Jay, when the FBI came back to the committee and said, we want that, the same concern that you just addressed with Jordan is what was the concern of Chairman Grassley and Ranking Member Feinstein. And they actually reached, before they provided this information, they reached back to the FBI and said, we can't give this to you unless you confirm to us that it will be used for investigative purposes. That's how we know this investigation is taking place, Jay. They got that letter back, and they're in the process of turning the information over.
The state's attorney generals can't get it. So the states who have laws on this also are not able to get this information. And what's interesting, I'm actually holding in my hand a page, and it has the testimony that was produced in a House report where the abortion technique was changed in order to harvest the fetal tissue, the fetal body parts, and this was the ones you already know how they were to handle the brains of the child. I mean, it's horrible. But then it says redacted. And you see it right there. I'm holding it for the camera. Redacted. Then there's another discussion, and it says again, redacted. So this is because they wouldn't let a court order said this information can't go out, which is really absurd.
And what's the difference between the part that was redacted for our audience and the part that is not? I mean, so was it the videos
evidentiary-based?
Were some that the videos that got out there, they didn't redact that, but is this new information that has not yet been released?
It's yes.
Videos that did not get out yet?
Or if they were released, and then were required to be pulled back. But they can't be shared with attorneys general, so we had to be cautious on what we filed. All right, we've got a lot of calls coming in, and we're taking your comments as well. Logan, what do you want to do?
Let's go ahead and take a comment. Let's go to Joseph in L.A. on line 2.
Hey, Joseph.
Hi, you guys. I'm curious, is this current investigation a direct result from the investigative videos, or is there more evidence that they're working with that they found recently?
A lot of people are asking that online.
Yeah, so no, I think that the investigation started with the undercover videos that were done by the Center for Medical Progress. We represent, as I said, Troy Newman, who's one of the board members there. And I think that's where the evidence started from. I don't know if there's other evidence because the courts in California and San Francisco, and I made an appearance before this judge, tried to basically shut down all distribution vehicles, including to states' attorney generals or government officials or investigatory agencies. But Congress jumped on this very aggressively, Than. I mean, the Senate was on this very, very quickly. Although, again, after they got on is when these court orders started coming down.
Well, and after groups like ours started getting information through other means and kind of forced them into action. But, Jay, my sense is that in addition to the videos, they have documentary evidence that demonstrates there's more than just reimbursement going on here. Because, remember, that's a key under federal law, that there's actually profiteering going on here. So my sense is that the documentation that they are turning over also links Planned Parenthood to that intermediary, STEM Express, and then ultimately the final buyer. Because, Jay, that is what you would have to demonstrate in order to level charges against Planned Parenthood and not just STEM Express, that intermediary buyer.
Jordan, but they've had issues with this. I mean, this is not a new thing with Planned Parenthood. They just got caught.
No, they got caught. They've been selling these body parts since probably as long as they've been a market for it. The technology's been there, and so the law is very clear. And I know that it's controversial, but the law is clear is that you cannot financially benefit from the sale of these parts. That you can only, even for research activities that are legal. And you can question whether or not that should be okay, but under the law, there are some ways that this is legal. You can basically only sell it for cost. so you can recoup what it costs you to obtain the fetal body parts. And what Congress saw was this is typical of Planned Parenthood, by the way. They've gotten in trouble with this before with other things like Medicaid billing, where the funding has been quadrupled. The cost is 3 times the amount that it normally would be. Triple billing.
These were
kind
the
of
doctors who said, I want to get a new Lamborghini.
Right. And you don't get a new Lamborghini by just recouping exactly what it costs you to do the retrieval of the body part, because that is just supposed to cover your costs. You're not supposed to financially benefit from the sale of these body parts. That was the whole idea. And then there was a whole market for it. So it created a market then for companies who then bought it from Planned Parenthood, who then sold it to other people. And it was, again, you can go on their websites and see how much these body parts cost.
So here, this was supposed to be, in this brief would have been a picture that we'd obtained that Center for Medical Progress was able to get. It's redacted. The next page, if you go over to it, I'm holding, you'll see it says in 4 different places, redacted, 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 redacted. Redacted pursuant to court order. So let me be clear about that. So it's redacted pursuant to a court order. That court order, we believe, is completely unconstitutional. Now we got the Senate investigating. All right, Logan, let's take another call, another comment.
Let's go to Carrie on line 1. Carrie, welcome.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, thank you. Listen, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to you folks and the work that you're doing. You are doing the Lord's work. It is such a breath of fresh air to see people like you out there doing the right thing in the face of this unspeakable evil. And I want to thank you and let you know that you are in my prayers. I'm putting you in my church prayer chain today. And wish you Godspeed. God bless you.
Well, thank you. And let me say this, because this is something that when people are thanking us, I've got to turn it right around and thank you all. Understand, we can't do this without your support. Whether we're the radio broadcast or whether discussing the actual briefs or the work at the Supreme Court of the United States, wherever it might be. We don't get to do this without your support. So, again, a huge thank you from all of us to you. We are in a matching challenge campaign for the month of December. We encourage you. It's our biggest month of the year. If you'd go to ACLJ.org, if you want to see us continue to fight against groups like Planned Parenthood, then just go to ACLJ.org. That's ACLJ.org. You can also call in your pledge at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
Hey, welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. We're talking about this Planned Parenthood breaking news situation because we've got a case at the Supreme Court of the United States dealing exactly with this, and that is the FBI is now conducting an investigation regarding the sale of fetal body parts, but there was a court order issued to the U.S. District Court in San Francisco that was affirmed by the Ninth Circuit that said that our clients could not share that information even with law enforcement. 20 states' attorney generals filed a brief on our behalf saying that this case should be heard by the Supreme Court. We'll know about that probably in the next 2 months. But meanwhile, the Senate is now investigating or giving documents over to the Department of Justice. But we actually had a file for our public version of our certiorari petition. That's the formal brief you file with the Supreme Court. A redacted version because of that court order. And that's exactly what's being fought over. So, again, this is, one of those days where we're talking about the news. We are the news. We're making the news. I mean, this is our case. All right, let's go ahead, Logan, and take some calls or comments.
All right, let's see who's been on hold for a while. Let's go to Mark, who's calling on line 4. Mark,
hey, Mark.
You're on the air.
Thank you. Glad to support you guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate all the work you're doing. I have a three-part question.
All right.
Do we know who's buying the body parts?
Well, let's start with that one. Do we know who's buying the body parts? The answer is there are companies
that then engage in the next level. So Planned Parenthood sells them to these companies,
harvest them,
right?
so to speak.
And they sell them to companies who then sell them to research institutions. And there is a legal way to do this and an illegal way. And the illegal way is if you're profiting from actually. So it looks like if the abortion the company that's carrying out the abortions, that would be Planned Parenthood, is profiting from dismembering these body parts and then selling them to those third parties who then go out for this marketplace. That is the crime. You cannot profit.
And
you can only cover your costs. That is all that you're allowed to do. So the law allows you to sell fetal body parts. I know this is controversial. The law allows that, but they don't allow you to profit from it, only to recoup your cost. So it'd be like, if your business, if it costs you $20 to do something, you're supposed to get $20, not $25, and certainly not $50 back.
Yeah. So also remember this: that the Planned Parenthood was caught undercover, saying that the doctors had to change the abortionists had to change their method of doing the abortions,
that's illegal.
And that's also illegal. So that's a whole.
You cannot do the procedure for the purposes of retrieving the fetal body parts.
Exactly. So, all right, Mark, that was question one. What's next?
Would it be difficult to get those records to support your case?
No, because those records exist, and that the federal government can certainly get access to those records. Now, they are fighting it every which way they can, including with the issue of these court orders saying, like I said, I'm holding, it sounds like a broken record, but I'm holding a certiorari petition request to the Supreme Court, and for the public version, in other words, what the public would see on the Supreme Court website, what could be distributed, it has to be redacted. So, but Than is confirming, and I think, Than, it's important, I guess, confirm it again, what has happened with these documents between the Senate and the FBI.
Well, honestly, Jay, I think the reason it's happening is because those of us on the outside are connecting the dots that Jordan just laid out. So I think what the Senate Judiciary Committee is providing to the FBI to demonstrate is that while that intermediary company, one of them was STEM Express, by the way, may have been technically by the letter of the law complying with the law, and I'm not saying they were, it's possible they were, maybe they were only reimbursing Planned Parenthood. They then had a relationship with Planned Parenthood, and the seller on the other end was selling them for a very high value. So that linkage from Planned Parenthood to the intermediary buyer to the final buyer is the evidence that they are now putting forward to the FBI to confirm.
It looks like to me that there was almost like a 3 or 4 part step in the way in which. So they're going to argue that as their defense, but it's the procurement itself for a profit that is the problem.
Right, and they are on record. People saw those videos. I don't know if those are some of those videos are no longer able to be accessed, where they said, "Well, we've got to do the procedure this way to get this brain or to get this part of the liver." What's going for more these days? What costs the most?
I remember that horrible video where they said it's a boy.
Yeah. So the 2 steps in the law is you can't profit from it. You can only recoup costs, and second, you can't change your abortion techniques for the purposes of obtaining the fetal body parts. So there's 2 criminal violations potential here. This is in the U.S. law, federal law. But I think, as you say, Planned Parenthood tries to always shield itself from having these multiple entities in place. So Planned Parenthood does not market them to the universities that buy them.
Right.
That's those STEM Express companies, the secondary companies, which have the relationship with the abortion clinic, who then purchase from the clinic. They say, okay, and then they go on and they resell it again on the market.
All right. So the question, I guess, is that people are asking, and that is, which is the obvious question: why are we, the American taxpayer, paying for this? Because they still get $500 million from us, because in trying to overturn Obamacare, which would have been a defunding of Planned Parenthood, guess what was not passed? That bill.
Well, because Planned Parenthood has been very good with these money shell games for a long time, and they've hidden the fact, actually not too well, but they've disguised the fact that they use taxpayer dollars for abortion. We've, of course, exposed that, and we do think there needs to be a legislative fix, Jay. But look, we've got to learn our lesson. Planned Parenthood does these money schemes. They have for a long time, and it's time to quit letting them get around it using those schemes.
All right, let's go ahead and take another phone call, Logan, if we can.
All right, let's go to Keena, who's calling on line 5 in Oklahoma.
Hi, Keena, you're on the air.
Hey, Jay. My question is, if abortion clinics are technically legal, then why is it when a woman is pregnant and she is murdered, then the person who murdered her gets 2 counts of murder?
Yeah, because the law has recognized for literally decades and decades that if there's an intentional act of homicide and the woman was pregnant, that in fact 2 charges of murder can be leveled for the child, the unborn child, and the woman. And that just shows you that this is the abortion distortion factor. It's like all the rules change when the issue is abortion. There's no good defense for that. It's ridiculous. But that's the reason we fight so aggressively on the life issue at the lower courts, at the Supreme Court of the United States, wherever it might be. And we're going to continue to do that. So, again, rest assured, we're front and center on this, but it does show this double standard that constantly exists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so on the one hand, the law recognizes this life that is forming in the womb, and on the other hand, the law allows for the taking of that life without and says it's legal to do so. So on the one hand, you can be punished for it in the criminal context in the commission of a crime. On the other hand, you can go to a clinic that's only purpose is to take that life, and they are allowed to do that and profit from it.
Yeah, so I think what we have to realize
There's conflicts in our law on this.
Yeah, I cannot reconcile the two. So they're not reconcilable. That's just the fact of what we have. Well, that's going to do it for the broadcast today, folks. As we're closing out the year, your support of the ACLJ is critical. We are literally in the last days of our matching challenge campaign. So any amount you donate to the ACLJ before the end of the year, we get a matching gift for. So that's aclj.org. $10 is $20. $20 becomes $40. You see how it works. You can also call in your pledge at 1-877-989-2255. That's aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255. We'll talk to you next week.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.